And there are so many stories like that. This was true Gevurah. It depicted Dad's odyssey towards a greater and more spiritual Jewish life. And so, it's not at all surprising that Dad always showed and demonstrated a fierce pride and love for Yiddishkeit. He revered rabbis and teachers of Torah. He supported shuls, was one of the founders of B'nai Yeshurun in Teaneck when we moved there in 1957. He assumed leadership positions in shul and organizational life. Most of all, though, he loved a good chazan, and he could listen to chazanas day after day. At the Yom Tov and Shabbos table, he would love to sing his favorite melodies, even though he couldn't carry a tune. Remember? Taher libeinu li'avdecha, 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 li'avdecha li'emes. Dad displayed a deep love and pride in his children. He reveled in their successes, was there for them during their own struggles and defeats. Dad always seemed to understand. He provided us with that fatherly wisdom and love that at once comforted us, even as it spurred us on. If Dad was confident that all would turn out okay, then so would we. We didn't know it then. Perhaps we didn't verbalize it as such. But it was Dad's Gevurah that inspired us and kept us going. How many times was it when a good word from Dad, he didn't say much, made all the difference in helping us get through some of the tough times? And finally, perhaps most important of all, was Dad's love for Mom. It simply knew no bounds. He cherished her, worshipped her, revered her. He always knew, and he said it often, that he was blessed with a special and extraordinary woman. How did he put it? I don't know how anyone else could have ever put up with it. The moment Dad set eyes upon Mom, he pursued her and won her affections. That's a story he would like to tell so often. Mom never told the story. Their marriage was a storied affair of almost 69 years. It was a marriage with an old-fashioned love, one which with all the trials and challenges that all couples endure, Mom and Dad just knew how to make it work, how to keep it all together. I don't think we ever saw them argue, except when it came to punching us around once in a while, and guess who would shield us all the time? As we know, towards the end, Dad was not the same man he was earlier, and not by choice. Progressive dementia can rob even the great ones of their once powerful and charismatic personalities, and Dad was surely one of the great ones. And so, how he died must never erase from memory the man Dad was. For us, he was a gibor, a giant. All right, he had his faults, as we all have, but that fact cannot and must never obscure the total reality of the man. Even when Dad stumbled and experienced defeat, even when he was forced to retreat and begin again, which he did, Dad remained Dad. Head high, tears and exhaustion notwithstanding, but with gusty resolve, a twinkle in his eye, moving forward, his will unshakable, his faith unwavering. What did Dad often say? If you will it, then it'll happen. There's a word for that unvarnished advice. It's called Gevurah. This was Dad. And even as we saw him in the end, now diminished, small, awareness almost gone, barely conscious, fighting against the inevitable, we can almost see rearing like a majestic apparition the stalwart, and courageous image of Dad, larger than life, smiling and stern, loving and caring, giving, his image never fading and always there. It is that powerful picture of Dad that must remain with us always, and it will, because this was Dad. Quintessential Gevura in one man. I'd like to take another moment to frame Dad's persona in a language that Dad really liked. We all know Dad loved gambling. But in gambling, when Dad played, he too often lost. But in life, Dad also played a gamble. After all, isn't life one huge gamble? One enormous risk? We play against the odds all the time, pitting our own physical and mental limitations, our mortal imperfections, against the odds of circumstance and plain bad luck. But in this battle, in this gamble that we call life, against all odds, Dad won. He won. And he won big. And so this was Dad's mission. This was the voice his neshama heard when Hashem called him at our Sinai to assume a life of Gevura. And when Dad responded with his own Nasiv and Ishma, it set him on a course that would bring him honor and nachas, applause and gratitude from his loving family, his many, many friends, and his grateful community. Dad succeeded in this mission. Was he a gibar shebechavura? Yes. And yes again. Dad, I'm almost finished. Dad, do you remember the Seder at our home in St. Louis? My family, of course, was there. Often Howie and his. When, even though we were a bit tired, we arrived at the end of the Seder and began Chagadya. You remember, everyone was given a part as the refrain continued to increase. Some received the part as the kid, some the stick, some the water, and so forth. But the last one, Dad, was always yours. Yasar Kadosh Baruch Hu, V'shochat l'malach hamoves. You, Dad, acted out the part of Hashem. You would raise your hands, and always a bit shy and embarrassed by the role. You pumped the air with your hands, and when your turn came, you shouted, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we all smiled as our Seder came to a sweet end. But in looking back at that event, Dad, with your hands raised up like this, going like this, surrounded by so many of your loving family, I think, Dad, you were proclaiming victory. Dad, you won the game. This gamble, you won. You beat the Malach HaMoves time and time again before giving in. You won, Dad. You are our Gibor, our heroic and intrepid fighter. God apparently needs you above, and we will never, ever be the same without you. Saying we love you will never be able to express how much you meant to us. We will never, never be able to forget you. Dad, all of us ask mechila from you for the times we may have acted contrary to your wishes and perhaps didn't afford you the respect and reverence you surely deserve. We were wrong. Please forgive us all.